Good afternoon or good evening or whatever. It's March 16th, 2016. Happy Stone Cold Steve Austin Day. Why did I make this podcast today? Because, man, I was one of the hugest Attitude Era wrestling fans during my day. Obviously, I'm a 90s child, and yeah, so I just felt like making this podcast today. It's going to be, a little short, quick one, good old 30 minutes or so. And I just want to talk about wrestling and stuff. So I told them I can do no good morning, ladies and gentlemen stuff anymore. So how about I'm thankful for people that have big trucks, and when they're stopped or coming into traffic, the front piece of their car is not in the fucking road. I can't stand that. So I'm thankful for people who don't do that with big cars. What else? I'm thankful for The Rock being probably the only successful wrestler turned actor ever. What else? I'm thankful for the Generation X. Because there's been plenty of times I did the suck it gesture to a teacher on my way out of the classroom, whatever. She knew what I was talking about, and she made me mad. Did she have to call my mom? No. It was just fun and games, right? I don't know. What else am I thankful for? I'm thankful for Bret Hart being all right. He had prostate cancer, and he did the whole operation, and it's like he's good now, but obviously the cancer could come back. So I'm just happy he's good right now. He's probably literally one of my favorite wrestlers ever. Luckily, what was cool is that he was a part of the golden era and the attitude era of wrestling. And I like to see, wrestlers transition and, be able to stay on top and not fall off and, still be a name, still be a popular name. I mean, Shawn Michaels as well. I mean, he was out there in the 80s. Then the Attitude came around, and he was one of the guys on the forefront with Generation X, with him and Triple H and X-Pac and Chyna and Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. It was great. I'm not really a huge fan of NWO though. They kind of overdid it. I mean, it was literally almost NWO was kind of like too much because there was way too many members. They did that NWO pay-per-view special thing. That was kind of weird. It was just too much. But it's still cool, though. In the beginning, it was cool when it was just Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon. It was cool. That was cool. And, I mean, if they added, one more person, I think they said, Ted DiBiase was in it. But because there was a point in time I wasn't watching WCW that often because it was that whole Monday Night Showdown thing going down. So I was definitely watching WWF at the time when it was called WWF because Raw's War and Warzone on Mondays. Are you serious? It was legit. Yeah, man. I think my favorite moments from wrestling, the Mankind Undertaker matches. Always crazy. Obviously, when Mankind got thrown from the Hell in a Cell. Also going to live events. I went to one WCW event and I went to one WWF event, but they weren't live on TV events. They're house shows, and they're still kind of cool. I almost saw Sable's. I think it wasn't Sable. It was the other chick. I remember they almost got us to see her boobs, but it just didn't happen. That was definitely Attitude Era was kind of out of control with the WWF. It was fun though. Yeah, I miss wrestling. Why do I miss wrestling? Because I had reasons to try moves on people. I mean, if you grew up a young boy, I don't know if there's that many girls, but if you grew up a young boy and you had a bunch of friends that were boys, I almost said boyfriends. I was like, that sounds kind of sus. Now it sounds super sus because you're wrestling with them, right? Anyways, but if you're a boy and you had a bunch of friends, and you guys were into wrestling, 9 times out of 10, you guys were doing wrestling moves on each other and have fucking Royal Rumbles in somebody's house with nobody's parents around. That's what I miss. I miss doing leg drops off of dressers. I miss elbow drops off of freaking the top of the bed onto your freaking hard ass wood floor, on top of your friend's chest. And, it was a good time. It was a good time. I remember one time I did an elbow drop on one of my friends and I actually broke his arm. Not even lying to you. It's an honest fact. But it was crazy because his arm was already broken. And then, I just elbow dropped him, out of just playing. And then I literally re-broke it. And I felt like shit for a couple of days. So I'm sorry, William. I'm sorry for doing that elbow drop. I'm a terrible fucking person. I'm glad you're all right now, though. So, it was good old days. What else? I don't know. Wrestling was fun. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know a person. I don't know a male that grew up in the 90s and didn't like wrestling. If you didn't like wrestling and you're my age right now or older and you didn't like wrestling, as a young kid, I don't know. It's kind of that's a shame. All right, I'm trying to figure out what the hell were you doing during that time? What were you doing? What were you doing? Why were you missing out on such a great time? Huh? Owen Hart, Bret Hart, the Hart Foundation. Who else? Huh? Had the Legion of Doom. Rush. Those guys. What? Those guys. What? Those guys. I don't even know why I did that. I don't even know if I did it right. Who else, man? Who else was in freaking Nation of Domination? That was literally the most ridiculous stable I've ever seen in my life, for the simple fact that after the Nation of Domination started with Farouk, the Young Rock, all those guys, freaking D'Lo Brown. I don't even think his name was D'Lo Brown at the time, but all those guys, low key. Did anybody ever feel like it was sort of like a race war with the whole Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock rivalry? It kind of felt like that. Like it was trying to be set up, like dark skin versus white, fair skin. That's the kind of vibe I got. Now that I look back on it, being older, it's like that's kind of weird. That's so maybe that's what made the rivalry so heated. But The Rock always got his ass kicked until the very last time they wrestled. Phenomenal. This was phenomenal. I don't watch wrestling anymore though. The shit's a joke now. It's just not the same. I saw Mick Foley actually in Bellevue. He came through, did some comedy sort of at the Parlor in Bellevue. Bellevue, Washington is maybe 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes away from Seattle. If you go east, if you ever come to Washington, don't go there. I don't like Bellevue that much. No offense to any listeners from Bellevue. It's just not my city. I think it's because I'm from, Tacoma. And it's just, you know how it is if you're from up here, Anyways, yeah. But I saw Mick Foley, a.k.a. Mankind, a.k.a. Cactus Jack, a.k.a. Dude Love, a.k.a. Oh, shoot. I'm grilling again, guys. But a.k.a. one of the greatest hardcore wrestlers of all time. Literally all time. I think Mick Foley and Terry Funk had one of the greatest wrestling matches. It was in Japan. Of all time. When you get a chance, YouTube, Terry Funk versus Cactus Jack in Japan. It was fucking scary. Actually, it wasn't even fun to watch. It was crazy. But anyways, yeah, I saw him at the Parlor, and it's just you see all your favorite wrestlers just aging, I mean, he's limping around now. You see all of his injuries catching up with him. It's just not the same, man. It's scary. Freaking Bret Hart, like I said earlier, had prostate cancer. It's crazy. Shawn Michaels, his eye doesn't work. I don't even know how it happened. His eye doesn't work sometimes. It's crazy. Roddy Piper, he passed away. That shit sucked because I liked Roddy Piper. He was my favorite. Not my favorite, but he's one of my favorites. Because when the horns played and he came out in that kilt, and he was pretty awesome. I feel like that's where, even though, let's be honest, all right, I feel like even though Conor McGregor, the UFC fighter, MMA, although he's Irish, I feel like some of his swag came from Roddy Piper. Although he represents Scotland, but I just feel like that's where he got a little bit of that swag from. They just, they kind of sounded like when they talked their shit. But hold on, I'm gonna pause this real quick, and I gotta check this meat. Technology's crazy, ain't it? I just paused it, but it was literally not even. You didn't even have to wait. I just came back to it. You feel me? It's like I paused your life, and I did what I had to do. It's crazy. Anyways, I don't know what I was talking about, but yeah, man, I miss those wrestling days. And like I was watching some wrestling the other day. Not even the other day. It was like 2 months ago. And it's just kind of crazy now. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know. It feels extremely corny now. You know what I mean? It's like, it just says, I don't like watching it. And then like you see an old Undertaker. He's like 50 years old, still wrestling for no reason. It just doesn't even look right. And then like when the WWE brought when they brought Sting into the whole situation, that was cool for what it was, but it just wasn't the same. It's like, he's just not the same guy like how he was, over almost 20 years ago? How old am I? I'm 25, turning 26. So almost 20 years ago, it's not the same, man. The Scorpion Deathlock was fire. The Scorpion Drop was fire. I've done that a few times to people, DDT. Have you ever DDT'd a person in real life? It's brutal. You do it outside in some beauty bark. You get dirt in their eyes. You feel terrible. But it was a beautiful thing back in the day. Back when young boys were like men almost wrestling. They can't do that shit now. You know why they can't do that shit now? Because kids are getting trophies for being in last place. That's why. But yeah, I remember it was funny because I was a big wrestling fan, and then I was just like, oh, I want to wrestle, and it was like for real wrestling, like it was a club sport, and I totally thought that I was gonna be doing suplexes and shit, and what's crazy, I think a lot of people that got into wrestling. Some of them, they like assume that, oh, I'm going to be fucking DDTing people on this mat and stuff. No, real wrestling is nothing like this professional wrestling stuff. So anybody listening to that, to this to this podcast right now, if you have a son or a daughter that's into wrestling and then they want to get into wrestling, make sure you let them know, like, hey, this shit it's not gonna be like what you see on TV. It's gonna be that other shit that you don't watch on TV because it's in the Olympics, and that's literally the only time you'll see it. You might see it on like ESPN 3 or like ESPN Classic or something. I don't know. Wherever they'll show wrestling matches, like on the mats and stuff. And yeah. So I did that literally for a month, and my mom took me out because a lot of the matches or a lot of the little tournaments they had, you had to have like a couple years experience and shit. So it was kind of like I was just going to practice, and that's all I was there to do was practicing. And I went to one meet, and I lost in like 30 seconds. And it sucked. Because the kid was like twice my size, right? He's like twice my size. Not really, though, because obviously his weight classes. I just wasn't comfortable in wearing a singlet without a t-shirt under it. I felt weird and naked. My nipples were out. How old was I? I was like 8 years old, and I felt weird with my nipples showing. So it just wasn't for me. So I just, I came back to it later on in high school. But then, like, the coach was talking hella crazy. Like, he said, he was talking about, oh, if you want to be a wrestler, you got to quit your job. And, this is what you got. This is practice. And I was like, practice? I'm not quitting my job for practice. I've been working since I was 16. This is my 10-year anniversary of having a job. You know what I mean? And when you're 16 years old, right, them $200 checks every 2 weeks, you're balling. At 16, you're balling hardcore with $200 bi-weekly. You're balling. Because who you getting money from? Huh? Who's got the paper? You got the paper, right? I had a 97 Pontiac Sunfire, right? Had oil leaks, whatever. But the thing was, your boy had paper. $200 bi-weekly, working fucking 20 hours, 20 plus hours a week. Not even 20 hours. Dog, it was like 14, 12 hours. Balling. I was balling out of control. All right. But anyways, back to wrestling. I don't even remember when I stopped watching it. I just stopped. And then I grew up. And then I tried to come back to it, and like none of my favorite wrestlers were even on TV. So I was just like, what the hell am I watching? It just wasn't the same anymore, What else, man? I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with Hulk Hogan, I was talking about this the other day. It doesn't make sense to me why he wants to be, have like negative attention on him. Because I know it's all, it's all publicity. Yeah, I'm going to be in the news, so I'm going to say the N-word, and I'm going to drop this sex tape. Strategy. He's up to something. In my DJ Khaled voice, I'm up to something. He's up to something. Something. I don't know what it is. It's probably nothing, But, yeah. What was crazy was that back in the day when I was into wrestling, it was literally right around when UFC was popping off. And, like, I remember going to the video store with my mom, right? It was a shitty video store. Not shitty. It was just really old. Okay, so I'd walk in with my mom. She'd go get this movie or whatever. I'd always walk by. I remember this shit like it was yesterday, right? I'd walk by the big gumball machine, right? And then I walked past the 18 and up section, right? But, I mean, it obviously wasn't open, but it was like this door that, you just walked in there and then you have so much porn to look at, But I walked past that door and then it was like this little corner, right? This little cul-de-sac, right? Of movies. And you turn left, right? On the left side of this little cul-de-sac of movies. And they had the UFC tournaments on fucking VHS, along with wrestling on VHS. Now, my mom, she never got any of those movies. But I remember that shit caught my attention. Because I was like, yo, this is wrestling. And it obviously wasn't. It was grown-ass men, like, literally fighting, beating the shit out of each other, bare-fisted. Actually, I'm grateful that my mom didn't get me those movies to watch because I don't know if I'd be able to handle that shit. But on top of that, maybe I missed out on something, huh? I was at least like 7 or 8 years old. Not even that. I was at least like 10 because it was UFC. There's like not even that many UFCs. There was a couple of them. I think it went up to like 12. Or something. It was like maybe, and I don't know. I think it was just UFC fights or UFC VHSs that they had. I don't remember, but it was a lot of them. But it wasn't a lot. Do you know what I'm saying? I know it was during the Royce Gracie era and Dan Severn era, you know, Mark Coleman. But it was definitely before they did the gloves thing, and when they were still fighting in gyms. But anyways, yeah, maybe my mom kind of ruined it for me. What if she unlocked an interest in me being a mixed martial artist at the age of 8? You know, I'm 26 now. I could have been John Jones. Although I'm 5'9", 5'8", I wouldn't be light heavyweight. But I would have been John Jones of perhaps welterweight, you know, or featherweight. You never know. Now you can't know because I'm a little too old to be training for that shit. I mean, I still could train, but it's definitely going to be a trillion times harder because I'd have to fight against guys that's been training mainly their whole lives. And I don't even think I'm that athletic. Matter of fact, I know I'm not that athletic. So I'm not going to lie to myself. I just lift weights and run a little bit and do the Tough Mudder once a year. What's the Tough Mudder? It's a 13-mile race with like 20 obstacles. Do it every year. Drop a little bit of weight, do the race, and then I'll be going on with my day, you know? But, yeah, man, I miss wrestling. Rest in peace to Owen Hart. I thought it was pretty fucking hilarious when Owen Hart was in the Nation of Domination. Because then I was like, all right, these guys are getting creative. He was pretty cool. And then he turned into the Blue something. What was his Siri, give me a Wikipedia of Owen Hart.
Let me have a look. Here's what I found on the web for Give Me a Wikipedia of Owen Hart.
Thank you. The Blue Blazer. That's who he was when he passed away. Yeah, man, that was scary. When I heard about it, I was like, dude, they record it? And obviously, you only saw it live. And I don't think the video is anywhere, but there's a lot of digital reenactments of it. Not a lot, just like 2 I saw on YouTube. And then it showed how he fell on the turnbuckle, and I was like, oh yeah, that definitely killed him. It's scary. Speaking of people dying, am I the only one that feel? I'm not gonna say that. Not today. I'm gonna save it for another day, cause it sounds way too crazy. I'm gonna wait for a time when like a famous person doesn't die. Like it's like it's been a long time, cause it's kind of fresh. So I'm just gonna wait. But anyways, yeah, man, it was just it was crazy, you know. Wrestling's scary. If you ever watch like documentaries, I remember Netflix used to have hella documentaries at one point of like all wrestling shit. And I remember I was watching most of them, and then when the WWE had an app and like their on-demand thing and their own channel, they took all the freaking documentaries from it. I was so mad. But yeah, you find out wrestling is dark. It's not even. I feel like it's not even that fun for them, for the wrestlers. It's just a job, and yeah, I don't know when it's fun. I think it's fun when like it's live and they're on stage and people are cheering for them. But like when it's underground shit, it's a little too crazy. Like ECW, for example, like that shit didn't look fun at all for anybody. Not even me. I didn't even like. Well, no, I'll take it back. I loved watching ECW, but it was just like I don't know why I watched it, and it was crazy. I didn't watch UFC fights. Excuse me. I didn't watch UFC fights until maybe like 10 years ago, right when I was like 16. But I was definitely watching ECW when they were on what channel was that? It was like TNT or TNN or whatever, when they were on cable for a little bit. That shit was nuts. And I watch YouTube videos of some wrestling matches every now and then from the ECW. ECW was crazy. You know why I'm talking about ECW right now though? Because Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestled in the ECW for a little bit. If you guys never knew that, you may not have been a fan. Yeah, I know he wrestled, like, what's crazy is that a lot of, like, the not world, one of the well-known wrestlers, a lot of them, they've wrestled in ECW, WCW, and WWE, but there's, like, a few of them that never have. Like, I know The Rock, I think he jumped into the WWF, like, just automatically because of his dad and, like, you know, and his ability to be a wrestler. I'm just happy that he decided to become, you know, The Rock, the people's champ, because prior to that, you just wasn't sure. Like, is he going to ever be a star or popular? You just didn't know. But then he started talking shit, and I was like, oh, this guy's tight. So, well, yeah, so Stone Cold Steve Austin was in the ECW, but I don't know if he was in it when, like, Sabu and those guys were in it. I know Tommy... Oh, I gotta flip my meat. Hold on. Hold on. Watch this technology do some work. Oh, yeah, the pork chops came out fire. That's what I was grilling. I was grilling pork chops. But, yeah, man, I miss wrestling a lot. Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, the Sandman, fucking Rhino. Those are the main guys. And New Jack. New Jack wasn't even a wrestler to me, though. Like, he was a wrestler, but not really. Like, the dude came around with a trash can filled with weapons. And that's all he did. He beat fools with bats and staple their heads. It was pretty insane. But I liked Sabu the most because, like, he was a stunt man. Like, he did some crazy things back in his day. So, I don't know. I think this was just a podcast for me to just reminisce on wrestling and then get sidetracked on a couple of things. Yeah, I miss it. I miss the give me the hell yeah, hell yeah. I miss that. I miss what else? Finally, The Rock has come back to Seattle. I miss that a lot. I remember when Poo-Tang Pie actually looked good. It looked like it was chocolate. I remember that. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just like dozing off now. So I'm just going to let you guys get on with your day. Thank you for listening to the podcast today. You can follow me on Twitter if you want at no, it's not. My Twitter account is HOVXVO. Instagram is 2HOV. And that's all you're going to get from me. You can email me. No, you can't. I don't want you to. But, you know, just want to hop in and say what's up and talk about wrestling for a little bit. Right now, it's almost 8 p.m. my time, so you guys need to get some rest if you're on West Coast time. If not, whatever. I'll talk to you guys like next week or something. Give me a hell yeah. Bye.